The termination date is not uncommon in a non-disclosure agreement. Within this sample agreement, we've set out a termination date. There's value here because it'll set out the effective date of the agreement is set out in the term or effective date clause, and the termination date sets out the endpoint at which time information no longer should be disclosed, and depending on how the language of the contract is written, anything disclosed after that date should not be considered confidential information. So for a recipient, this is an important point, so that there's no open-ended situation of A, receiving confidential information, or B, a situation where the recipient is considered to be creating jointly created intellectual property, or C, possibly a non-competition provision might be in effect. So the term and termination clauses would be set out within the effective date and some sort of termination. And we've supplied you with sample term and termination explanatory drafting points, as well as sample clauses. The effective termination is another important clause, and this clause sets out what happens to the confidential information once the agreement is terminated. Examples of obligations upon termination normally include such things as the return of all the confidential information within a certain amount of time, and or the destruction of confidential information, possibly the furnishing of a certificate of destruction that confirms in writing, signed by the recipient, that all the information that was received has been destroyed. And that certificate is useful if there's ever a situation where it appears that confidential information is still floating around or being used by the recipient.